civil rights and mental health, two systems meant to protect us. But what happens when someone claims these very systems are being weaponized against them? Today, we're exploring a story that challenges everything we think we know about involuntary hospitalization.
The way this complaint letter is written really caught my attention. Such precise legal language masking this profound personal struggle.
You know, what's fascinating is that studies show involuntary hospitalizations have increased by 30% in the last decade, with significant disparities in how they're applied across different communities.
That really adds context to this case, spanning two major cities, New Orleans and Tulsa. How does someone end up dealing with similar issues hundreds of miles apart?
Well, looking at the documentation he's requesting medical records, arrest documents, GPS data, it shows someone who's meticulously trying to prove a pattern of what he believes is coordinated harassment.
The level of detail is remarkable, even down to allegations about oil-based substances in his plumbing system. It's this mix of concrete claims and more unusual concerns.
You know what's particularly striking? Research shows that traumatic experiences with law enforcement or medical systems can actually trigger or worsen paranoid beliefs. It's this vicious cycle.
That makes me think about how each involuntary hospitalization might be reinforcing his belief system rather than helping.
Exactly. And here's something most people don't realize. Studies indicate that up to 40% of people who experience involuntary hospitalization report feeling traumatized by the experience, regardless of the medical necessity.
Well, that's exactly why his mention of acute medical distress during these hospitalizations is so significant. It's this intersection of genuine medical needs and perceived harassment.
And when you look at civil rights data, there's been a 25% increase in complaints about involuntary hospitalizations in the last 5 years alone, suggesting this isn't an isolated issue.
So how do we balance protecting someone's civil rights while ensuring they get necessary medical care?
That's the crucial question, and it's worth noting that several states have recently reformed their involuntary commitment laws to require more substantial evidence before someone can be hospitalized.
The way he structures this complaint, using formal legal channels while describing what others might view as paranoid beliefs, it's this fascinating blend of lucidity and potential delusion.
You know, mental health advocates have been pushing for more oversight in these cases, especially since research shows that forced interventions can sometimes do more harm than good.
The geographical spread of his claims really adds another layer to this. It's not just about one incident or one jurisdiction.
Right? And what's particularly concerning is that cross-jurisdictional cases like this often fall through the cracks, because there's no standardized system for tracking involuntary hospitalizations across state lines.
The systematic way he's documenting everything really speaks to someone fighting against what they perceive as an overwhelming system.
And here's what's really troubling. Studies show that people who experience multiple involuntary hospitalizations are 3 times more likely to develop long-term distrust of medical and legal systems.
Well, that certainly puts his detailed documentation requests in a different light. It's almost like he's building his own case file.
Looking ahead, this case really highlights the urgent need for reform in how we handle these complex situations, where mental health, civil rights, and law enforcement intersect.
And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that behind every case like this is a human being seeking help in the only way they know how.
The real challenge going forward will be creating systems that can protect both individual rights and public safety, while ensuring that interventions don't cause more trauma than they prevent.